What troubles me is that differences of opinion or ideology have in certain circumstances been reflected by egregious distortions of reality. Sadly, elements of our society have grown increasingly unfazed by a cacophony of falsehood and lies that often stand largely unchallenged, ominously leading to an insidious acceptance of what I call the normalization of untruths. We see this happen daily, propagated through a range of information platforms, social medias, and so-called news organizations. And sad to say, certain elected officials in positions of power. Yet, the outrage and dissent against this alarming trend has mostly been muted and mild. If you remember nothing else from what I say today, I truly appeal to you. Please remember this. It is our collective responsibility not to sink to a tacit acceptance of the normalization of untruths. Because if we do, we bring danger to ourselves, our families, and our communities. This is how a society devolves into a way of life where veracity becomes subservient to propaganda rather than upheld as a guiding principle for creating and sustaining a just social order.
Do you wish that you would have reacted differently or used a different term?
Well, absolutely. I actually was just shocked it came out of my mouth in the first place because I don't normally talk that way. I just think it was just frustration, pure frustration.
Eva Worthing tells me things took a turn for the worse when a motion was not brought to the council floor. She tells me Councilwoman Jerry Winfrey Carter was in charge of that meeting when she referenced she would, quote, go all out on her when addressing Worthing. Councilwoman Worthing tells me she whispered the remark under her breath and Winfrey Carter was unable to hear it. However, Councilwoman Tanya Burns did hear that remark and addressed it during the meeting.
And it was a racial tone. It is unprofessional. But you say ghetto, I was offended and I was appalled by it.
Worthing says race is frequently brought up in council meetings and says some of that discussion is directed towards her. But according to Flint City Councilwoman Tanya Burns, the problem started before most of the current council got into office.
The fact is that I'm constantly called a nasty white woman. My race has been mentioned almost every meeting.
I think people are carrying over the last council. And I think that we need to unlearn the past behaviors. And we have to look at those who are in the past council are the ones with that behavior. So it's not the new council that's stopping us, but it's the unlearned behavior and the practices of the prior council that is now rolling over.
If you have unused COVID-19 test kits at home, you might be wondering if you can still use them. Each one of these tests has a lot number to check when they expire. And if you do some digging, you'll find for many, the expiration date has extended. Manufacturers and the FDA are extending COVID-19 test expiration dates, but some people are concerned.
I would err on the side of caution.
Courtney Garner lives in Grand Blanc and works in the food industry. He tells me he isn't sure if he trusts that these COVID-19 tests are still effective with these new expiration dates.
I understand how it's important for manufactured versus a use-by date.
Now that more studies are available that show stability, they've extended the expiration date.
Dr. Bobby McCamala, former president of the Michigan State Medical Society, says he understands why people would be skeptical, but he says this is natural with anything new in the scientific community.
The data that was available when they first got put on the shelf has now been revised because more studies are available that these tests last longer than originally thought.
Dr. Bobby says if you're thinking about using your at-home COVID-19 test past the extended expiration date, that he doesn't recommend.
Until there's data to show that any more extension is still valid, I would just use it based on only the extended date and not go any further beyond that.
This COVID-19 test that I have in my hand expires in January of 2023, and I checked the FDA website and it's been extended to May of next year. If you would like to check your own at-home COVID-19 test, you can visit our website at MidMichiganNow.com.